everyone. That was a weird way to say hello. Hello. Uh, Welcome to Everything But the Cats. We are a show. We used to be a podcast, and now we're still technically a podcast. Vlog, maybe? I don't know. I'm too old to know the terminology, but we talk about everything, most everything, everything except for the cats. And honestly, Gage, I would say that we're probably. Oh, by the way, I'm DJ.
And I'm Gage.
Yeah, so I wasn't just talking to no one when I said Gage. Um, I would say that it's probably okay if we talk about like a cat or even some cats, but really it's the cats we have to look out for, right?
Yeah, it's just as long as we don't talk about the cats.
Yeah. So we talk about most everything. We even talk about guys. You heard it here first. We're doing video. We're talking about cats now, except we're not in the. We might in this episode actually. I don't know. Um, But yeah, I do have. I know that there's some guests we've got coming on in the future who has said the second I get on the show, I'm going to talk about my cat, and I'm only going to talk about my cat. Do not remember who it was. Um, Someone wants to talk about their cat on our show though, and
Okay.
that's probably fine. We we assume it's not one of the cats. Anyways,
Yeah.
today, Gage, what are we doing?
So I have, over the past few weeks, been asking people who I know listen and other just friends that we have to send in some questions that we can answer in a Q&A style. Now, as of the release of this episode a couple of weeks ago, we released an episode where DJ answered questions about what it's like to be a father and certain questions that he's probably going to have to answer as a father. And we both decided we liked that format. And so we're going to do a Q&A episode, but this time instead of me asking DJ all of the questions, it's going to be me asking DJ the questions, but we'll both answer. Uh,
Great.
and I've actually attached the names to the people. Now, some people sent in a bunch of questions and some people sent in one. So in order to keep things somewhat random, I have a lot of the questions randomized on my phone. And so we're going to be going through those questions today. Just probably take a little bit of time to each give an answer, dialogue on it a little bit, and see where we go from here.
Real quick, if you only send in one question, you're dead to us.
DJ speaks for both of us
Yeah,
wholeheartedly right there.
yeah. So, uh, I I hate you.
Let me. I'm just gonna name off our bit like the people who I know listen all the time. Is the ones who only sent in one question. Yeah. Without further ado, do you want to go ahead and dive on into some question and answer mailbag style?
Sure, yeah. Mailbag feels like a good insult.
I do. That does sound like an insult. Okay, so this first question actually isn't from a friend and isn't from a listener. It is from the internet.
The real
And
friend is the internet we made along the way.
exactly. And so this question is you can resurrect one actor for 1 hour, but in that hour, they have to go on Hot Ones with no context of what they're doing. Who do you pick and why?
That's a pretty good question.
Yeah.
Oh man, have you? So you looked this up. So you've probably thought about this some more than
This
I have.
this one I've thought about. I've done my best not to really pay attention to most of the other questions other than typing them out.
For
So
sure.
I obviously have thought about some of them a little bit, but I've done my darned best to keep them far from my mind as we've gotten ready to do this. Um, Gosh, I had an answer for this one, though.
Hmm.
I think it was like Sean Connery.
Is he dead?
Yeah,
Cool.
I think.
I'm. If so, I think it's more recent than we think. Googling it right now. Can't
I
be
am
stopped.
too. Yeah, he died in 2020.
You lucked out this time.
Yeah, I say like actors who are currently alive. It's like that song. Oh gosh, what's it? It's
Dance or Die by Family Force 5.
No, but that's an amazing song that Adam Ward and I were talking about yesterday. Uh, Funny enough.
Chainsaw by Family Force 5.
That one didn't come up. No, it's I got depression. Jesus is the one. I got depression. And there's a line in it. It was written years ago. Like not too many years ago. It was like a couple years before she died, but one of the lines in the song is R.I.P. Betty White. I know she ain't dead, but for when she does.
That's so funny. They were the first.
It's such a bad song, but it's such a good
That's a good
song.
line.
Huh?
Man, that's so good.
But yeah, so you can resurrect one actor. I think Sean
Yeah.
Connery, maybe. Um,
Sure.
ooh, maybe because I think it would be gosh, what was his name? Uh, the guy from Tommy Boy,
Oh yeah, Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. Chris
Yeah.
Farley would be great for Hot Ones, I think.
Oh yeah. That'd be awesome. So my dad really liked Tommy Boy.
Mm,
Maybe we've talked about this already. I don't know, but he really liked it, and so he would watch it like anytime it was on. Always watched it, and it happened to be on after Isaiah was born, in the hospital, and so we caught just the tail end of it. And we've started watching it. It's one of those things that you can watch like pieces at a time because it's like while you're waiting between feedings or whatever.
hmm
Um, so yeah, that'd be a good one, man. Uh, I need to make sure that this one didn't already do it because that'd be awkward.
Hot Ones hasn't been around that long. Is this someone who died recently?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So I. Okay. So, anyways, I think it could be good. I don't think he. I know he never did it. Um, but was just watching The Middle yesterday. I don't know if you ever watched The Middle. Pretty good sitcom. But Norm Macdonald was in an
Mm,
episode. Um, and I feel like it'd be a fun time. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of any serious actors. Like Sean Connery was more serious. Ronald Reagan.
He was an actor, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Heath Ledger,
be good.
yeah.
This has been a comprehensive list of all the dead actors I know.
Yeah, same.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Robin Williams is a good one.
Rip in peace.
Yeah. Okay, next question. This is from Jacob Chandler,
Great.
who has been on the podcast as a good friend. If you had your pick, who would you want to be your first high profile podcast guest and why?
Ooh, man. Okay, so first, like if we're talking real high profile podcasts, I think the dream would be to one day either get one of them on or get a spot on like one of the McElroy brothers shows. Like either get on one of their shows or get one of them on here. Um, I think much more realistic. So that's like the dream. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I think they're super hilarious. And yeah, would love to meet them. Love to hang out. But more realistic, probably not even more realistic. Uh, but the kid. Sorry, I was watching The Middle recently. We've been watching it a lot. But the kid who plays Brick in The Middle, a guy named Atticus Schaefer, and he is like one. He's famous because he played Brick in The Middle, but two, he's like a Christian and
huh.
like very devoted to his faith, and so it'd be fun to have him on sometime and talk about like just what it's like being someone who follows Jesus in, the film industry or like the TV industry, and yeah, just talking about faith and theology and stuff would be fun. So
Yeah. Um, I was already gesturing mine while you were talking. I don't know if you could see it or not, but
mm,
I'm wearing the shirt Wendigoon.
right.
Like Wendigoon would be so fun to have on.
I'd say Norm Macdonald. Um, didn't even know he was sick.
Good choice. So speaking of high profile guests that we've had, this past week actually, I got a text message from somebody who I've known for a long time. Like, hey, do you know the Fox Royale guys? Which kind of came out of nowhere, but there's someone who I
Yeah,
know listens to the podcast, and I'm like, yeah, we've had Nathan on the podcast. He was like, oh, I'm gonna go see them tonight in concert. That's so cool that you know them. And so I texted Nathan and I was like, hey man, there's a guy who's gonna be at your show. This is his name. Freak him out a little bit for me.
do you know if he did? If he did like a shout out or anything?
I don't know if he did, but he told me he would.
Great.
Um,
It's like
I
Nathan to do that. Sorry.
It is. It is. So when I went to see them in Kansas City, I was just standing in the middle of the crowd. Now I stick out a little
For
bit
sure.
in
You're shiny.
crowds. I am shiny, and
Yeah.
so Nathan actually saw me, and like in between songs was like, "Hi Gage, hey everybody, say hi to my friend Gage."
That's funny.
That was a good time. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I'd say probably like first high profile guest is a little bit like shooting it over because like I think some of the guests that we've mentioned aren't the highest profile, but they're high
Yeah.
profile. And so first,
Taylor Swift.
yeah, uh, who's the most listened to podcast in the world? Joe Rogan.
Who's the second? Let's work our way down the list.
No, I think Goon would be awesome to
Yeah.
have on. I think the options that you had would be awesome. I think like musicians we didn't go to college with would be fun.
Hmm.
Uh, like
But we
even
love the
just
ones we did.
yeah, we love the ones we did, but like just people we don't already have a working and friend relationship with. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah. Uh, I've loved and appreciated the guests that we have had on. You guys are all great, and if you're not
Mhm.
high profile yet, you will be. I believe in you. Take that as law.
If you're not high, whoops. If you're not high profile in like 5 years, you're dead to us.
Basically. Um, this next question is from our friend Mike Smith.
Ah, never heard of him.
Yeah, I know. Why are dogs superior to cats?
Good question. It's really about attitude,
Hmm.
I would say. So if you look at what you stand to gain from a dog, you stand to gain someone who loves you and is soft for you to pet and who is like grateful to see you and hang out. And with cats, like honestly, you get the same thing, but you get someone who's kind of ticked about the whole ordeal. Like, so you get this little guy who, so a dog, like you get this little guy who's like, yes, I love you. You're home. Let's hang out. I love you. And cats, you get like, oh, you're home. Weird that you left. Okay. Oh, you want to pet me now? You may pet me. The consent from cats is less enthusiastic, I guess.
I would say that's fair, but like my cat, Lola, is a very loving cat to me, not really anyone
For sure.
else. Sometimes I had guests at the apartment who she was very friendly with, but mostly me. Um, I do think that it kind of like you said, it's all about attitude. If you're looking for a companion who's going to defend your life, if needed and who's going to like do life actively with you, dogs are superior 9 times out of 10 for that. Unless you get a cat that was raised by dogs. So yeah. Other
Yeah,
than
I
a
feel like
human, I mean, you know.
no, I don't know. You said what you said
Yeah, dogs are superior companions to humans, even.
to anything.
To anything.
No, I feel like what was helpful for me as I was processing this one day was the realization that when you describe the best cat, you're talking about like a mid dog. Like, oh, he loves me and he like wants to cuddle and he's soft and he like just wants to spend time with me. That is the bare minimum of like dog.
Hmm,
So
that is valid. Um, okay, that's fair. Uh, and I think,
also
yeah,
F the cats.
coming straight
Go
from the scratching post. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 30.
on. Let's do the age I was when I got my appendix out. I think 12.
Okay, so this is a question from our good friend Caleb Ross, who has also been on the podcast. Um, and he asks, what is your favorite weird song or poem?
Ooh.
For reference, he was thinking like I'm my own grandpa, Albuquerque, things like that, but like a weird song or poem.
Mm-hmm. All Star by Smash Mouth.
I am gonna veto that.
Yeah, it wasn't my real answer, but it's a banger. Have
See,
you ever
here's the
seen?
thing. Go
Sorry.
ahead, sorry.
Have you ever seen the video for "I'm a Believer"?
Isn't it like a monkey or a chimpanzee or something?
It's present. No, it like essentially this girl at the very beginning. Like the idea is that she's supposed to be super beautiful. She drops her keys, and then Steve Harwell, lead singer, picks up her keys, and he's following her like all over the place because I mean she's beautiful and she dropped her keys,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a chance to talk to her. Uh, and so he finally like in he so every time the song's like, and then I saw her face, uh, it's like someone else turning around, and it's definitely not her. And so one of those is like a monkey in a wig. Uh,
Okay.
and then right at the end, he catches her and gives her her keys, and she's like, "Wait, are you Steve from from Smash Mouth?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "We should. Do you want my number? We should like go to have some coffee sometime." And he's like, "No, I really just wanted to give you your keys. Bye." A great video.
Okay, speaking of, like if we were just going based on videos, My Horses Are Many by Phineas
Mm,
is such a funny music video because it's just a bunch of dudes messing around at like a Dave and Buster's Chuck E. Cheese type place that also has go karts and mini golf. Um,
love that.
or CVS by the Winnetka Bowling League. Love those guys. The lead singer married Hillary Duff, which is just
Okay,
crazy, and it's why she appears in a lot of their music videos.
that's funny.
Or at least in the CVS music video, which is fully filmed in a CVS.
Great.
It's a great song. But it's not a funny or weird song or poem. So
Mm,
my funny slash weird song slash poem, I couldn't think of a poem, is Yes I'm Fat by King Hooker. Funny. It's just funny. Like it's a
yeah.
um gosh, what was the first lines are like, yes, I'm fat. How about that? I would even eat a cat if it was deep fried, battered, yada 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 yada. It's just so funny. Um, it's a good
Pretty
song.
good.
It's kind of at times a little crass, but it's just a
Aren't we all?
it's a goofy song. Um, yes, I'm fat by King Hooker.
Nice. Yeah, I honestly don't listen to a lot of really like funny music, except maybe something recently. I'm really racking my brain. I used to be a little into Weird Al, so I really Amish Paradise was one that I really liked
That's a good one.
when I was a boy. Um, yeah, yeah. There's this guy on Facebook who does funny songs that he writes about like real life things that happen, and there's one that I'm pretty sure like it. I'm gonna tell my best understanding of it. Like he needed to bring like a homemade hacky sack to school or something like that. I don't think it was a hacky sack, but like something like that. And he knew that if you wanted a really good one, you had to fill it with rice.
Hmm.
And he was afraid that his mom was going to fill it with beans because they were just cheaper and they already had beans. They didn't have rice. This is my best understanding. It's been so long since I've listened to this. And then he talks about this thing and then how when he got it, he was like something doesn't feel quite right. So he opened it up, and I'm pretty sure the chorus is, "It was beans." Uh, Good stuff. Like
Okay.
zero clue what the song's about. I don't remember, but every once in a while he'll come across on Facebook, and I always enjoy those.
Okay. There's a guy uh, on Spotify who does like songs where he just sings someone's name over and over again. And I'm pretty sure he's just the guy who sings people's names on Spotify.
Great.
And Brittany in college had some friends who found their names on there and they were just funny. But he
Yeah.
also, under another name, does towns. And he basically just like reads the Wikipedia page for the town, but as a song. And there's one for Fort Scott.
Bro,
It's so funny. I'm pretty sure there's also one for Uniontown. Um,
you guys gotta be local.
No, because he's done them all over the country is the thing. Like in the on that specific account, he has like an album for each state and
That's
just
crazy.
picks like certain towns from the state. For some reason, he picked Fort Scott and maybe
And Union
Uniontown.
Town.
It's been a while since I
Uh,
looked at it, but it was for sure Fort Scott.
yeah,
And I remember it being another small town in southeast Kansas. And I was like, why the heck did he pick this one?
yeah.
But yeah, uh, that might be a fun option, but I'm sticking with Yes, I'm Fat by King Hooker. Uh,
Love it.
this next question is from our friend Eric Wasson?
I've always said Wasson,
Wasson?
but I could be wrong. Also, I'm
Well,
sitting up but scooting back.
oh, it's all good. I got confused for a long time there because a group of people that I hung out with for a while called him Eric Wasson. Uh, it was like an
Son,
inside joke. So Eric
Wasson,
Wasson. And
son.
his question is, what is a childhood game or a game you grew up playing that you would love to see remastered?
Mm,
That's a good one.
yeah. Like a lot of the ones that I would care about have had some form of remaster, even if it's just, I mean, even if it's not a remaster and it's just like a re-release for
Hmm.
$40 or whatever. Companies trying to get what they can out of you. Um, but I think that it would be cool to see a lot of the old Bethesda games, except for Skyrim, uh, get a remaster and just get a another chance at life. Like, and obviously, like the Fallout games are doing really well right now
Hmm.
because of the show. But it's still like when you play Fallout, like if you download Fallout 3 for on your Windows 10 and up device, you have to download it and then download a patch from like the mod store so that you can actually run the game. Otherwise, you just bought a game that can't play. Uh, and it'd be really cool, like not only to have a game that can play, but like a game that's just remastered, and maybe the combat is tuned up a little bit, or
Mm-hmm.
it's prettier. Would be cool. Or like the other thing that comes to mind is Tony Hawk's American Wasteland would be a good one. Like the old
Ooh,
Tony Hawk
yeah.
games, some of them have been remastered already. Like I think Pro Skater 1 and 2 maybe. So those would be good, but like growing up played a lot of sports games, and so I'm thinking like it'd be fun to play an NCAA football or like NFL
Mm.
game, but it's like the graphics of today, but it's like the people of back then and like
Yeah.
the rules of back then. Um, could be fun. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for like whoever was on K State's football team in 2003,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be fun.
Yeah. Well, and just the NCAA games in general, I think they're coming back, maybe, but I know that they
I believe
stopped
so.
those for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, I think like for me, the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, love
Oh
to see
yeah,
that remastered.
great.
Lord of the Rings: Conquest would be great.
That's what I was
Uh,
thinking of.
Medal of Honor: Rising Sun,
Mm-hmm.
or just really a lot of the old war games, like where everything's so blocky, just remastering them so that they look like they do now would be cool because they told good stories. Um, like Medal of Honor: Rising Sun had such a fun campaign, but like it just hasn't aged incredibly well. A lot of GameCube games because that's what I grew up playing is
Yeah.
like GameCube games. So like Dragon Ball Z sagas would be cool, but they make a new Dragon Ball game every couple of years anyways. So yeah, I think Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Okay.
That was my favorite racing game ever. Yeah.
I didn't I didn't appreciate racing games back then. I
I
didn't, so I
don't
don't have a lot of
now.
nostalgia for them. Okay.
No, I just never play them, but I think they would be fun if I could just get into them like I used to. Like Need for Speed Most Wanted was so much fun, and I had it on PC. I don't even know how I got it on PC back
Mm,
in the day, but I had like the seed, like the discs and everything as a
wild.
PC game, and it was a 4 disc game.
That's really funny. That's crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. Yeah, that's where I'd go.
Cool.
Um, okay, so here's another question from Eric Wasson. What is one of your favorite dorm memories?
Mm. I can't remember if it was junior or senior year. I think it was senior year. But engage, you already know this. I mean, anything I would say, you already know. But I don't think you weren't a part of it, but you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple kind of back to back where one night I thought, because I had a futon in my room, I thought that it'd be really really cool. Cool's strong. It'd be funny to stay the night in another floor's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so one night, Jacob Casey, who's been on the show, our other friend Jacob Rice, and I thought Adam Ward was in on this apparently, but he apparently was not. Uh, Stayed the night in B2 bathroom, so that's the floor below us. Stayed the night in their bathroom, and we just kind of stayed up playing video games. Like I expected to sleep more than we did. I did end up sleeping because we brought the futon down. Did end up sleeping some, but Jacob Rice stayed up literally the whole night and played all of Resident Evil 7
Oh my
that night.
goodness.
Like on a TV next to their sinks in their bathroom. Uh, and then the next morning, there was a guy. So that year, man, that might have been junior year.
I think it was
Then
senior year because I'm pretty sure that was while I was in ministry, like at like
that
youth
would make sense
ministry.
why you hadn't been able to be there. Did the Californians live on our floor senior year? It was a junior year.
I think it was senior year. I feel like it was like the first semester of senior year.
Okay, that sounds right. But we had some Californians, and these kids were wild. Some of them, like there were 3 or 4 of them from the same church, and a couple of them were just insane. Like yeah, like I think they accidentally ended up at the wrong college.
It was junior
Um,
year because one of them worked in the cafeteria with me.
okay,
Yeah, so that was junior year.
I think they ended up at the wrong college, and then over time it became the right college, and like they
Hmm.
settled down and just became holier people that knew Jesus better and like cared about like Jesus had bearing on their lives. Um, hey Californians, if you're listening to this, I respect you guys more now. Um, anyways, some of them had a propensity to like just whip their junk out to make people uncomfortable, and they had done that to a guy who lived down on the second floor, whose bathroom we stayed the night in. And so it's like the morning, we've just kind of woken up, and he's coming in to take his shower, and we like maybe greet him or whatever, like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And we're not even like this is months ago that the event happened, so we're not even like thinking about that at all. But like we're like, "Hey man, how's it going?" He's not responding. He's obviously like frustrated that we're in there, and then comes out of the shower and we maybe say something, and then he turns around and yells at us about how it's so frustrating that that thing had happened to him previously, which it is frustrating. Like that was frustrating, like on his behalf, and the times that it happened, like to me, like it was genuinely frustrating. So that's fair. But now, like we're down here staying the night in his bathroom, like and I'm pretty sure I have a. It's not a holy part of me, but when I think that people are overreacting about something, uh, I just I'm really bad at like faking empathy,
Hmm.
and so I'm almost positive that my response is like, "Okay, buddy, have a good day." Yeah. So, anyways, that it was a fun memory up until that point, and then a few weeks later, we pulled an all nighter down in the lobby of our dorm playing Minecraft.
Hmm.
Pretty much the same guys.
Gosh, that sounds fun. Um, I think so. I remember freshman year, towards the end of the second semester, we both got real into Magic the Gathering at that point. Me much more than you.
You had more like money to put into it because you were working, and I think that helped.
It did help, and I put a lot of money into it.
Uh
Is
huh.
the thing, and so that happened, and that was just a lot of fun, like playing with a bunch of other people,
Yeah.
like finding a new game and learning the mechanics of it, building decks, and like doing it with other people who were doing the same thing, at least to some degree. I think it was also really fun, and I know that like this is definitely not the reason that that semester was so bad for me grades wise, but it helped in that endeavor. I remember that we like you. I think it was either in your room or it was in an empty room that like you, me, and Garrett would just hang out in a lot.
Probably.
And Garrett played through Dragon's Dogma, and I watched. I didn't play it. I watched him play it, and I didn't do a whole lot other than play Magic, watch him play Dragon's Dogma, and go to class. And I did not do my work. I quit my job. I was not doing great, but it was a fun time. And then I remember, I think it would have been sophomore year, but I'm not entirely sure. There was one year where, like, one of the last few days before we all moved out, there was it was a group of us that stayed in one room and just told like scary true stories all night to each other, like things that had actually happened to us and to people we knew. Um, it was like me, Caleb White, Jared Brown, Garrett. I'm almost dead certain you were there.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure.
But I mean, that was really fun. And then just like people being willing to go just do stuff. Like having the ability to walk down the hall and grab someone to go do something at almost any given time was just a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It was a good time. Another one that comes to mind for me is freshman year. There was it was a Sunday. The weather was terrible.
the
It
snow
was super
day.
snowy. A very snow day. We didn't get out of class because it was Sunday. Um, but a couple people managed to get out. Did you get out that day?
So that was the one Sunday that I was actually scheduled to work, and my boss canceled. He called me and told me that I didn't have to work. So Andrew Reed and I went out in my truck and we got groceries, we got a meat bucket, we got bread, we got grape juice, and all that stuff. And you can continue the story. But yeah, we were one of the guys, and we picked up Ben Keller because he and his girlfriend were
Okay,
Cameron. They were stranded somewhere at Taco
cool.
Bell, I think.
Yeah. So I knew that. I remembered Ben being out, but I was like, "There's no way Ben would have gotten out on his own to like do this stuff." Uh, hey Ben, if you're out there, I love you, man. I hope you're doing well. Um, yeah, yeah. Anyways, but then we all got together, and I don't even know if we like anyone did a message or like spoke or anything, but we at least worshiped together and
Mhm.
then had communion, and it was fun because it was communion, kind of like how I imagine it happening when the first one happened,
Mhm.
which was not everyone just sitting side by side, not acknowledging the people around them, being silent, but probably much more like they're like, well, that was a weird thing Jesus just said, and then like they're like having a meal,
Mhm.
and says much more like a meal, and so that's always gonna be a sweet memory. I feel like yeah, it's just fun to look back and see that. And I've probably had a couple similar communions since then. Like
Mhm.
COVID helped in that regard,
Mhm.
but yeah,
I've definitely used that story as a sermon and communion illustration so many times.
great.
It
Or
was
like
just an
Gage,
impactful moment.
yeah,
Like, mhm.
like Gage, you did this one last week
Yeah.
and the week before that. Tell us something else.
Dude, I tell you, one of the things, like preaching a different sermon every week, that's like fine. And you can get used to that as long as you're continually in the word and you like aren't just, you know, using like going off what you did in school, basically. Uh, but finding a new text to do a communion meditation out of every week, that can be hard.
Fair. There's like there are four maybe
Oh,
in
there's
the
so many
Bible.
more than that. But but it's just it's one of those things. Trying to be original with that is a little more
Yeah,
difficult than, and that's not the point. Like you don't need to be original with it. Like we're coming together
yeah.
for communion. Um, I feel like that's why some churches do it quarterly instead of weekly, is because they're just not original. There's no theological reason behind it. I'm kidding. I don't understand you, but I get you, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, okay, next question. This is from Jared Hubner. You do not know.
Jared.
Do you
No, I
know
love you,
Jared?
Jared. Who doesn't know Jared?
Yeah, okay. So this is from Jared Hubner. He said, if you had to pick your last meal, what would it be?
Uh, okay, so maybe someone else has asked a question related to this. I don't know. This is so dumb. I'm just gonna share this because I can't be stopped. But I've often thought about like if someone were like gun to my head, they're like, "All right, TJ, you've got to pick." Have I talked about this on the show before?
I
You've
don't.
got to pick a part of your body to eat right now.
Of your own body?
Of my own body to eat right now.
We might
Uh,
have talked about this in the Uruguayan flight
we
episode.
might have. but I couldn't show people what I was talking about back then.
Oh yeah.
This thing, like my thumb muscle here,
Yep.
I'm just so curious. I mean, really about the whole human body, right? Not so curious is strong. That makes it sound like I think about it a lot. Do not. But I have already decided, like, if ever I'm in a crisis and like I need to eat something, this little guy is toast.
Well, so
Uh,
this is the part of the body that when they talk about how to tell if a steak is rare,
yes,
medium, well done, stuff like that, is you use this part of the hand touching different fingers to for the
yeah.
firmness. So like I have to feel like this is the most steaky part of the human body.
I I already know how to tell, like when it's medium, just like I like it. Feel it.
How?
You just poke it,
Oh yeah.
and I already know how what that feels like.
What is it? Firm,
Um,
but with a little give. That's how you know it's medium. What if they ask for it well done? You ask them politely, yet firmly, to leave.
so good.
Garrett would be all
Um,
over that.
Whoa.
Whoa.
No, I would say in real life, uh, you should give an answer, and I'll think on mine.
Okay, so I'm thinking like a multiple course meal. Kind
Mm.
of. Kind of. I like just a very like prime cuts for the meat, uh, a really good bacon cheeseburger with onion
Okay.
rings and mozzarella sticks, and then a pint of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
So if we're talking multiple courses, I probably just do something with infinite courses because legally I can't die until after I finish this meal.
That's not exactly how that works.
I think that's how it works.
Not
Like
not,
not only I
not
can't be killed,
anymore.
I can't die.
So I saw I did see Jared when he asked me this question. He was like, "Dude, just pick seasonal things that are never in season at the same time."
Mm, great.
Yeah. Um,
Mac and cheese. Chick-fil-A mac and cheese, just like a whole tray of it.
Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese is so good.
Yeah. We're going to Chick-fil-A tonight.
That's so
Don't mean to brag.
I want to go to I there's a Chick-fil-A not far. I need to go. I just love fried chicken. Okay. Caleb Ross, if you could meet and talk to anyone in the Bible outside of the Trinity, who would you pick and why? I think I know your answer to this.
I mean, there's the classic joke. I don't remember who we first heard say it. Uh, but it was at a I'm pretty sure it was at like a siblings improv thing when someone said the author of Hebrews.
Bro, I thought you were the first person who I heard say it.
No, no. I mean, maybe I was the first one you heard say it,
Yeah,
but I'm not the first one I heard say it. It was a quality joke. Whoever came up with that.
it is quality.
I mean, I think it'd be like cool to talk to Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like just be good to get since so much of our theology comes out of his writings, like
Mm-hmm.
the work that the Spirit did in him. Um, it'd be interesting to get some takes from him in particular on just this world, this modern world, modern Christianity, American Christianity. Um,
What would your letter to us look like?
yeah, oof.
First Corinthians.
So so that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. Also, I think it'd be cool to talk to David, um,
Mm-hmm.
and just like, all right, so you goofed. What was that like?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'd say those are my two.
My go-to is David normally. Like even with the goofing, described as a man after God's own heart. Like I just want to to be able to sit and talk to him. I think that'd be really neat. Um, Job, think it'd be cool to hear what like his conversation with God was like.
I mean, I'd specifically like to go to Job right after he learned that all his kids died and try to give him advice about what he had done wrong.
Yeah. Uh, just be one of the friends.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Yeah, I'd say those are my two, and I like your two. I especially like Paul. I think it'd be really interesting to bounce concepts and things that we're dealing with in the American church, in the modern church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. This one is from our friend Bryce Reeser.
Bruce.
What is one of your favorite childhood memories?
Mm.
So, when I was 2 or 3 years old, I was
The
at my
elevator?
grandma's house.
Tell you one of mine actually. I was 2 or 3 years old, and this guy that I hadn't met yet was at his grandma's house.
So, I was in sixth grade sewing class,
Go on.
and I had just gotten a cell phone, and I wanted to keep in touch with the girls in the class, and I passed my agenda around so that all the girls could put their phone numbers in it.
Well,
And
that's not how you worded it.
it's not how
If
I
you said,
worded it.
"Hey, girls, give me your number," I would not have done
I
anything.
know, I was like, hey, I want to keep in touch with everybody over Christmas break, is specifically how I worded it, which, by the way, 2 weeks. Like, it was two
I mean,
weeks.
you weren't trying to get their numbers for only those 2 weeks, though. You're trying to have those forever.
Oh, no, I was definitely trying to get their numbers for
Yeah.
not the 2 weeks. But, yeah, the only person who put their phone number in it was this kid I didn't know too well. Um, and I never called him. And
No,
right now we're doing a podcast together.
good times. It was a kid that didn't get invited to your uh like what 13th birthday party,
It
14th.
was eighth grade, I think 13th, yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. No favorite childhood memories. I would say probably it depends where you cut off childhood.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume anything before I lived in Fort Scott because I feel
Mm.
like Fort Scott is like sixth, seventh grade, which there's still childhood in there. But like well, I'm gonna assume like elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would say that some of my best memories are just time spent like with my cousins because I
Mm.
have um, so I've got two cousins on my mom's side that I've just never been super close with. We bickered a lot, uh, and yeah, still not super close with them. And it's not like I'm like a ton closer with the cousins I'm about to talk about, but we were back then. And so I just have a lot of memories of like all seven of us like on one bed or like under one blanket, just kind of cuddled up watching TV or
Mm.
playing like war out in the yard or whatever. So just a lot of fond memories of time spent hanging out with my cousins.
I think I would probably say something pretty similar. Um, I spent a lot of time with my cousin Connor growing up. We thought we caught Bigfoot one time. One time we set up a fan in the living room of my house and threw baby powder into it because it's when Brittany was a baby. And mom showed up for some reason. It wasn't because she got off work, but she showed up at the house and saw that there was like what looked to be smoke everywhere. And she thought that we had started a fire or something, or maybe just having that much baby powder in the air is bad. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
studied it, but those kinds of memories. I remember every summer. I have very distinct memories of like the summer after fourth grade or the summer after fifth grade, one of the two. Like the whole summer, I would basically get up in the morning, I would watch anime music videos of Naruto, and then I would walk to the city pool, swim for a couple of hours, get sunburnt because I never put sunscreen on, and then walk home. Uh, and that was all.
Dang.
That was just fun.
The rental house.
Like life was so simple. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, it's less of less of a specific memory of childhood and more just like the whimsy of being a child.
Easy. Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I feel like if you ever put those memories like under a microscope, it falls apart really quickly.
Yeah.
Like because it's so easy. Like, oh yeah, life was so simple back then, and everything was great, and I didn't understand like the stresses of now. But it's because we don't understand the stresses of back then, like we did.
Oh
Um,
gosh, yeah, like there was a whole different financial issue going on back then, and my parents were divorced, and there was a lot of other stuff going on, and like it's almost like rose tinted.
hey, listeners, don't look at me. How about this time? You don't be listeners. You just be watchers. By the way, we're going to a new platform. Um, pay $15 a month to access our stuff.
Hey, $5.99 a month.
Sorry, we're better than them. $15 a month to access our stuff.
When we were looking at the price, we wanted to pick something that anybody and everybody could afford. Okay, next question. This is from Connor Arant, my coworker
Mm,
back from Tennessee. What is something that you've always wanted to try but have been too embarrassed to do? LARPing.
go on.
That's it. I mean, like I've always wanted to do something like that, and I think it
Yeah.
would be so much fun. But like, I've always been too embarrassed to like do it.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of it. But there was a time also where I would have been embarrassed to do Dungeons and Dragons, and now I'm like, no, this is so much fun. Um, we were playing this game last night that we got for Christmas from my aunt called Priorities, and it's where you get like 5 cards, and one person
Mm.
has to put them in the order of most to least as far as like how they feel about them. And two of the cards for me for one round were 2 day old underwear, women, snuggling, Dungeons and Dragons, and world peace. And my order was world peace, women, snuggling, Dungeons and Dragons, 2 day old underwear. That was my order.
Because you're in a public setting.
But my mom and sister, who I was playing with, were like, would he put Dungeons and Dragons above women at this point? They were openly, verbally debating that, which I thought was really funny. Um, I don't know that there's ever been a time I would have done that, but
Uh huh.
it's up there.
Man, funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, LARPing. I think because I most things that I want to do, I'm not really embarrassed to try or do them. Like if I'm embarrassed to do something, it's because it's something I don't want to do for the most part. But I would like to try LARPing. I'm just embarrassed to do it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I feel like LARPing is tough for me because I don't know the idea of like if I'm gonna go pretend to fight, I feel like I need to be able to die well, you know.
Yeah.
And the idea of my death just being me like ah, and then just laying on the ground for however long, not here for it. But not from an embarrassment perspective. Just like that doesn't sound super fun to me. I do remember like I can't remember if we were. I think we might have been seniors. We're getting ready to go to college, and I remember telling you like, man, I just kind of want to be like the guy who goes to college and gets like into like D&D and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think I remember you being like, okay. And then things shifted, is what happened. Um,
There was a
so
specific night I turned down playing Mario Kart with a bunch of girls to play D&D.
and so maybe you did have your priorities listed incorrectly.
Maybe.
Uh, No, I
The Boys was not an option.
so true. So true. It's tricky for me cuz I don't know that I don't think embarrassment plays a big role in
Mhm.
me deciding what I want to and don't want to do. Um, what I will say, so I'm gonna just answer the first part of the question because I was hoping we'd have an opportunity to talk about this. I just watched a YouTube video. It's like an hour and a half long,
Mhm.
where this guy and his girlfriend, wife, something, uh, got together and canoed the Yukon River in Canada, and it's like a 12-day trip where they're like stopping and camping each night, just like in the middle of nowhere, as they kind of float along this river. That's like not too dangerous of a river, and I feel like I'm just here like, oh yeah, I can do that. Let's do this thing. Like, all right, Gage, let's go to Canada. Let's get you a passport. Let's get a canoe. Let's go. Um, let's gonna leave my family for 12 days. We canoe the Yukon River.
We'll make multiple episodes out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
until our stuff dies on like day two.
Yeah. So, funny thing about that, uh, Jacob Rice, when he was getting married, we were tossing around like bachelor party ideas, and he was like, I want to do a week long hike in like California. I was like,
Yeah,
okay, uh, let's try something that's a day.
yeah.
I think that
Did
would
you
be a
do
lot
it?
of fun. I think another thing is I so badly, now that I actually have like, I've got a good microphone, I've got camera, I've got computer and editing software and stuff like that. I think something that I would love to do, but I'm a little embarrassed to do, is I'd love to do a cover, like a vocal cover of a metal song that I like. But I'm a little embarrassed to put that out there for the world to have. Okay, next question. Another one from Eric Wasson. Uh, who was your earliest celebrity crush that you can remember?
I learned that a crush like was a thing because there was a woman, tiny little woman in a comic book that I was reading. And by a tiny little woman I just mean she's drawn at a far distance and so you can barely see her, but I would not stop staring at her. And my cousin Anthony was like, "Oh, you got a crush?" And I was like, "No. What does that mean though?"
Wow, of the two of us, I didn't imagine you would be the one whose first crush was a drawing.
Yeah. No, standards were lower back then. No, I'd have to think some more on that. And I will think some more on that.
Mine's definitely Britney Spears, but
Mm.
like 99, 2000, Britney Spears. I anytime her music videos were on VH1, glued to the TV. Anytime a lot of stuff like the first CD that I got when I got a CD player for my birthday was Britney Spears. The first CD I owned was Britney Spears.
Man, that's fun.
So yeah, Britney Spears was my first celebrity crush. The next big one was Anna Sophia Robb,
Mm. Mhm.
specifically from Bridge to Terabithia.
Mhm. Because she was dead, and
Yep,
you're a weirdo.
but that's the only reason why I'm not going to continue with that joke. Uh,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I would say like I didn't really have a lot of access to media when I
hmm,
was young, like TV, movies. So I don't know that before middle school I would have like registered anyone as like a celebrity crush or anything like that. So I would guess that any of that started in like middle school and excuse me would have started. I'd guess like Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato. like Miranda Cosgrove, like somewhere in there. I don't know who would have been first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, we have another one from Mike Smith.
Great.
Who is your starter Pokemon?
Mm, Bidoof.
See, but I think we need to pick an actual starter.
I'm picking one that should have been.
um, like if we're going all Pokemon in general, mine is going to be Riolu or Lucario. That's going to be mine because that's Lucario is my favorite Pokemon. But if we're just going starter, I'm probably picking Mudkip.
Mm.
Yeah, Mudkip.
I choose Chikorita specifically because of a like this core memory that I don't know how it became a core memory where Courtney Crane couldn't remember the name of it. This is like maybe freshman year of high school, and she called it Chipotle on accident, and like it was genuinely like one of the funniest things I had ever heard. And I just remember like going home that day and pulling up a picture of Chikorita, and then just like trying to think to myself like calling that thing Chipotle and just like laughing.
Dude, that's so funny. Uh, gosh, that's so good. Uh, okay. How would you answer the trolley problem?
Mm. Can I have two trolleys?
Oh. Is there any way we can do split track?
Yeah,
What's it called?
drifting.
Drifting, split track drifting.
Uh, no. So it is interesting, right? Like I think until you actually look into it a little more, it's super straightforward because it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna hit five, you make it hit one, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, duh. But then like they're like, okay, so it's very utilitarian that you would like make it hit the one. But then by switching it to the one, like you're kind of murdering that one person because they were gonna be fine, and then you made it hit them. And what if it's a loved one? What if like one person being in front of the five would stop it from hitting the five? Would you push someone onto the tracks? Like all of those kind of follow up questions. Um, so I'll tell you how I've answered it so far, and that's that I avoid trains. Like if ever I'm in a position where it looks like I might have the ability to control what a train is doing, I leave. They're like, hey man, do you want to see kind of the upfront part of the train? I'm like, bye. Like
Yeah.
nope, no, thank you.
Okay. So this is something that I've thought about not too much, but I do very much look at it at the very basic level, kind of like you said. But
Yeah,
in James, he says that anyone who knows what is good to do and refuses to do it, for him, that is a sin. So I think biblically, when we look at the world from the perspective of a Christian, if we look at the world from a biblical perspective, uh, inaction is action. Silence is speaking to a degree. And that goes along with that quote that gets misattributed to Bonhoeffer, like silence in the face of evil is evil, not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act. And I really do believe that. And so I think that, like, saying me switching it to hitting one person is me actively killing a person, well, you doing nothing is inactively killing five people. Like, you still are the crux of the situation.
for sure.
And so your action or inaction is leading to death regardless of what you do or do not do. It might be utilitarian to a degree, but either way you're causing death. Might as well pick the lower amount.
I think it might be a little strong to say either way you're causing death. Like if you're thrust into this situation,
I feel like you're not causing it, but I mean, like, either way your action or inaction leads to death. It's a better way
for
to say
sure.
it. And
Yeah.
so, like, I would rather my action minimize the death that happens than my inaction keep my conscience clean.
Yeah. What if it's like,
Because it's a false cleanliness.
what if it's your mom, but she doesn't believe in Jesus on the one track side?
Who are the five?
It's a good question. Five random people.
Five random people. Um, See, my mom does know Jesus, is the thing.
Yeah, but this one doesn't.
It's not my mom then.
Touche. She's abandoned her faith.
um, Man. Uh, so this is the Everything But the Trains podcast.
Mm,
Moving forward.
yeah. No,
No,
ethics are complicated, y'all.
ethics are complicated, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's very difficult to. I feel like when you look at the specific question, what you do in or see because what you're doing is you're saying, okay, as a baseline, this is what I believe, but you throw in so many caveats, and I know that real life is filled with caveats, but like I'm also a person who doesn't believe that rules should be based on exceptions to the rules. Rules should
It
be
should be
based
based
on
on
order.
all the times in which you're thrust into this situation.
Exactly, because I've
Kind of
done it five times
generally.
by now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You've killed five people. I've killed 25.
Yeah.
Who's
Uh,
the worst one of us?
um, this next question is from, and I quote, my BFF Sugar Shane, Shayna Carpenter.
Oh, yes.
What is the best ramen flavor?
I think growing up, I preferred chicken. And then since I've grown up, I've preferred beef.
I have not had beef since I was a kid, so it's really difficult to say there.
Yeah.
Um, I do know that when I go to like an actual ramen shop, I always order chicken.
Yeah. That's not what she's asking about, though.
Yeah, I don't remember what beef ramen tastes like. So I would say
Not beef.
creamy chicken.
Okay.
One from Eric Wasson. What, and you can say this like as a married man planning forward. What is a dream date for you?
I mean, it's not a dream date. Our dream date would have had me in like New York this week or something like that. Uh, but we're going on a date a week from today to a place in Nevada, Missouri called Gobbler's Roost. It's just a super fancy restaurant in the middle of nowhere, like a 5 course meal, and they give you massive steak. So excited for that. But I I think like any sort of dream date for me is more more about the locale than what happens.
Hmm.
So like especially like it's way cheaper to do a dream date in like Tanzania, for instance, because you can go to some really nice like restaurant for much cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
or like you can get a beautiful view of the mountains for much cheaper than from Missouri. I almost said Kansas. How embarrassing. So like really anything that's not in the U.S. and like just at like what would be like their nice restaurant that they specifically made for like the European tourists. Like I'm all about it. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's yours?
So you and I are in different stages of life relationally, because like you're
Sure.
married, I'm single. Um, and I feel like the dates that I've been on so far, like the most fun types of things have been like one time we went to a thrift shop and we each had a limit of like $20 and we picked out an outfit for the other person and then went mini golfing in those outfits. Found it on like Tumblr or something, but it was really fun. Thrift golfing. That was a really fun date. Um, One time I went to a coffee shop, got coffee. Then we went to no, because we got coffee at this place. We went to a cat cafe
In Joplin?
in Joplin. We went to the cat cafe in Joplin, had coffee, hung out with some cats. Not the cats though. And then we went to Mac Cheesy, got us
Mhm.
some mac and cheese, and then uh, went and watched Your Name, and that was great. So I think like I love the dates where like we can just be goofy and do something that's fun and personality related. And I think that
Yeah.
also is going to vary based on who I would go on them with.
Yeah.
So, but those are the ones that I have the most fun with. I'm a very easy to entertain person and a very easy to please person. So, I mean, like, honestly, just hanging out and watching a movie or like going on a walk around Gun Park in Fort Scott, for example, um, and then watching King Kong versus Godzilla or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I know is just kind of a. I'm naming specific ones that I've had, so like that's just a very specific example. But yeah, that kind of stuff. Just
Yeah.
having fun and being goofy. Okay, so that was a question. We have another one from Sugar Shane. That's specifically what she wanted to be called. Are
Love
there
it.
more wheels or doors in the world?
Oh man. I saw a breakdown of this one once.
I think it
I don't
depends on what
remember.
you define as a wheel and what you define as a door.
Yeah.
Because if a door is anything that you open to get into another space, like any flat thing that you open to get into another space, there are a lot of doors out there. But if a wheel is anything circular that rotates for the purpose of some kind of movement, there are also a
Yeah.
ton of those.
Yeah, I'm on Team Wheel, I
I'm on
think.
Team Wheel.
Yep.
I think like I was default on Team Wheel because I was thinking like manufacturing warehouses and stuff like that,
Yeah.
printing presses, printers, uh,
Yeah.
anything that uses gears, anything that
Yeah.
uses pulleys, wheels. And like for
Go for
most
it.
of human history, the creation of the wheel has been the paramount to like the beginning of technology as a
Dude,
metaphor.
I wonder when doors were invented.
Approximately 2 years before the wheel, just less revolutionary. Um,
By Sir Edward Dorr.
Edward Doorhinge. Another one from Eric Wasson. What is a crappy superpower that you would like to have?
Um, I can fly. I can have any superpower. So I can fly, I can read minds, I can be invisible. But the condition is that I do it by pooping. And so like flying by pooping is like it's propelled, right? But like invisibility by pooping, like, it's just like I'm going and I'm invisible. Or like I really need to read someone's mind and all of a sudden they hear
Man, you took
and then
the. Go ahead, sorry.
all that I ever read from people's minds is, oh my gosh, did he just what? Why? That's disgusting. Why did he do that?
Man, you took crappy superpower literally.
Happy to help.
I just said glow in the dark.
It's a good one.
I, I basically already do that.
You're shiny already.
Yeah. Now I can just be shiny with or without light. Um,
Right.
okay. Let's not time for another number yet. Another Eric Wasson question. What is a little known fact about you? the yearbook from our senior year says that I was the vice president of the physics club. If you look under our names in the senior section, I never paid my dues to the physics club. I never showed up to a physics club meeting. I did it because I was told I could write whatever I wanted.
That's so good.
Also,
Man.
I had a yearbook quote that I stole from DJ.
Ooh.
You kind of gave it to me,
I'm
actually.
sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, they were asking me what I thought about tennis. And you said tennis is like the icing on the cake, and everyone knows how much I like cake. And they put that under my name.
Great.
I'm almost certain you said it directly to them.
Great. That's so funny. Do I have a quote in there?
Oh, I haven't looked at them in a while. I just remember those two
Yeah.
because they're things that are lies.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I
I
also, for our senior year, did not show up on the prom, any of the prom pages
oof. You
or
were there.
graduation pages. And I
Oof.
spoke at baccalaureate.
Well, remember, were you looking for a little bald kid or a little hairy kid?
I was looking for a little hairy kid who probably should have shaved that morning.
Oof.
Because I just had some weird stubble going on. I was also very sunburnt for both of those pictures because of
Mm,
tennis.
stinking tennis.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite tennis memory is when I told Bar that I couldn't go. I've told you this before recently, probably, but I told Bar I couldn't go to some big tournament. Not that my presence mattered at all. I was going to lose. Like I wasn't going to win, but I told him I couldn't go because I wanted to go to the national qualifier for
Mm.
forensics. And he like I think for the most part coaches didn't have high standards for me, so they didn't really yell at me too often, but he decided that this was his time to yell at me. And so he's like, DJ, you gotta you need to figure out your priorities. And I didn't say it out loud, but I'm like, I literally just told you my priority, Lynn.
um, so, similar thing, except exact opposite,
Hmm.
was junior year choosing to go to a tennis tournament instead of the national qualifiers for extemp,
Oh, Brian.
which I shouldn't have even been in anyways, because I was only in extemp as a punishment. Am I the only one who answered the question?
Yeah, what was the question again?
What's a little known fact about you?
Uh, I did debate and forensics in high school, so that's fun. I worked at Pizza Hut for about 2 weeks. Summer, winter after like Christmas break, sophomore year of college. Um, yeah,
Okay, I do remember that. I do remember that. That was only for 2 weeks
and maybe three.
because I remember the specific story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
story. You guys don't get to hear it. It was just Christmas break though.
I I know somebody else who delivered for Domino's and ended up delivering to the same place and same person.
Do you remember his name?
I don't.
It's lost. It's out of my brain now. Do they have a good story about it?
Not really, but the it's just the lead up to the story. It's like going to the place and being like,
Correct.
nobody
You're
should
gone.
live here.
What was that?
Getting to the place and be like, no one should live here.
Yeah, this
Uh,
is weird. Was
yeah,
it like middle of the night, like
yeah,
10 p.m.?
super late, super dark.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Long story short, I thought I was gonna get robbed, but it was just a kind man who scared me.
Yeah. Mike Smith, what is a board game hot take that you have?
Ooh, man,
This
that's a
almost
Mike.
implies that he listens to us.
Implies Mike. Do you like board games?
I don't know. I've never watched him play a board game.
I do have a distinct memory of playing code names with him
Hmm.
because I like joked that I was gonna touch something that obviously wasn't correct, and then he like caught my hand and stopped me, and that ticked me off like nobody's business. Uh, and I just remember being like really frustrated, like maybe even like leaving shortly afterwards because like I was just telling jokes and people like were annoyed with me, which was annoying to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we've at least played that, and we're good after that. Since then, Mike. Here's my hot take: leave me alone when I'm trying to play a game, Mike. No, I'll come up with a real one. Do you have any, Gage?
I think like simplicity in a board game does not mean that it's not a good board game.
That's good. Good take.
Um, yeah.
Have you have you ever played Catan?
No,
Catan?
I have not. I've wanted to. I've just never had a group of people that I felt like I wanted to play it with. Because
Yeah.
I here's another take. The most boring board game can be made amazing with the right group of people, and the most fun board game can be made horrible by the wrong group of people. The people are more important than the game you're playing.
Depends on the game. Joke. No, that's a good take.
I don't think it's a hot one, really, but
I don't think either of yours are too hot among like people that are like really into games.
that's fair. I
But
feel
like,
like people who played Catan a couple of times and decided that that was the best game ever, though, the first one could apply to.
hmm, sorry, it's not. Yep, I've got no more to say about that. No, I do. It's not that complicated.
It's more complex than like it's like an entry level complex game. What
Yeah,
was that game that we played at Don's house? The alien one.
I I didn't get invited to a number of those.
You were definitely at one of them though, I thought.
Halo.
Okay, maybe you were at one of the Halo parties and not the board game party.
I was only ever at Halo parties.
Oh gosh, it's called like Cosmic something. Um,
Encounter.
I don't think it's Cosmic Encounter. Yeah, Cosmic Encounters. Or Cosmic Encounter.
I've not played it. I just know of its existence.
It's not too complex or anything. It takes a long time normally to get through a game. Like
Yeah,
I say a long time. You're looking at like a good 3 to 4 hour investment. Um, if you have a game of 4 to 5 people to get through. Um, that game's really fun, and I would say it's quicker than Eldritch Horror, but I would say it's more complex than Eldritch Horror.
it's wild. Eldritch Horde is pretty complex.
That also depends on which alien race you are, though,
Yeah,
because it's a lot of mind games and like using your power to subvert the other people. It's really fun if you have a good group of people to play with, or if you're the person who knows the game the best of the people in your group.
that's fair. Fair. I would I would say for mine, it's kind of in line with your second one. Um, you're you're allowed to just decide that you don't play board games with a certain person anymore.
Mm,
Like you're allowed to stop inviting someone if they're consistently like ruining the mood or like complaining when they lost and like every time they lose it's because the world was against them and everything was against them and the cards were against them and the game is terrible, and then when they eke out a victory it's because of like their genius that they won. I definitely don't have any examples of this.
okay, DJ, you
um
can stop talking about me.
it's not. I have no examples of this, but you're allowed to just decide like you don't play games with certain people
Hmm.
anymore. And yeah, like you're allowed. This goes beyond games. Um, and I now that I'm about to say it out loud, I need to sit down and think through it some more. You're allowed to prioritize relationships by like prioritizing the event
Mm,
and like everyone else's experience.
mm. It's a good word.
Also, uh, Twilight Imperium is it's fun. It's good. It's all right.
Yeah.
Also, Scotland Yard is the best board game of all time. There's my hot take. I was working my way to a toasty one.
That is a hot take. That's a fun board game.
The one that got me.
That's fair. Um, they say you always remember your first.
That's what they're talking about.
Yeah. First actual board game. Okay. So for our last question, we're going to do a Caleb Ross question. If you had a day where you were unkillable, I'm going to use that word because he said immortal and invincible. Unkillable. If
Yeah,
you had a day where you were unkillable, what would you do with it?
I canoe the Yukon.
In a day?
I mean, I'm assuming if I'm like unkillable, if I'm immortal and invincible, the invincible part is what really catches me. I'm gonna work my muscles to their limit.
See,
Like I'm
because
gonna
that's how
tear
I
these things to
determined it, is like
shreds.
your muscles don't have a breaking point
Yeah,
at that point. So it's like your inhibitors are gone, basically. So you can use the max amount of what you have.
I would definitely like probably some adventure thing though, like go meet a bear or like go down like jump Niagara Falls or something like something wild like
Mm-hmm.
some adventure or maybe both.
Jump a bear off Niagara Falls.
Do a kickflip
Do a
with a
kickflip on
bear.
a bear. uh,
Yeah,
I'd like pick fights for money. So in some states, they have this law called mutual combat, which is where, and Seattle, not Seattle, Washington is one of them, where if you and the other person agree to the terms of mutual combat, neither of you can get arrested for fighting.
great. Is
Um,
that are there limits to that? Like you can't kill the other person. You
you
can't
can,
agree to
yeah, you
die.
can get arrested for murder if you kill
Yeah,
them. But like just, and like you can probably be taken to civil court for
yeah.
extensive injury and medical bills. But as far as just like getting in a fight, you can get in a fight with anybody as long as you agree to the terms of mutual combat. So like I would just walk up to people and be like, mutual combat, winner takes $30. I don't know, $40. How much do you get for a fight? Um, and then I would just win by attrition.
I bet that's exactly how the. I bet that's the average experience for someone that lives in Seattle. Like they're on their way to their job at Amazon or whatever, and someone comes up to them like mutual combat, and they're like, "Gosh, dang it, I don't have time for this." Okay, let's go.
You have to agree to it though. So like if you say
Yeah,
no, then they're just like facing an assault charge at that point.
yeah, but of course they're gonna say yeah, because otherwise they're a weak little baby. Yeah,
But that is all that we have for questions today. We have a bunch of other questions we didn't get to, so we will probably do another one of these in the future, near future, I should say. Um, One of the questions that we didn't get to is somebody actually asked us if we were going to do another draft episode soon.
mm.
So we may have that on the horizon too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
because it's like draft. The draft has happened.
it's
Have we
already
been doing this?
happened. So we
Have we
can
been doing this
do,
for a year?
huh?
Have we been doing this for a year?
No, we were like 5 months late last year.
Great. Okay. Cool. Cool.
This year will only be a month late
Great.
or two by the time it comes out. Um, but yeah, that's all that we're doing today. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for getting to this point in the video. If you are listening or if you are watching, either way, please consider, if you like what you hear, subscribing, following, leaving a like, leaving a review, comments, all of that stuff. It just helps with the algorithms. And if you are listening on Spotify, there are different ways that you can just interact with the individual episodes. So please do that, and we may read those on the episodes. And now that we are on YouTube, if we see YouTube comments, we might read those on the episodes. Uh, Remember, as DJ said a handful of episodes back, we are humans. We are people. So just remember that. Uh, yeah, thank you for getting this far. I want to say thank you to our friends Adam Ward for our intro music and Jared Scrother for our outro music. And thank you, dear listener, dear watcher. Not the company, but the individual. DJ, do you have any words?
Can you hear me right now? I'm not sure if I'm muted or not.
I can hear you.
Great. Hey, if you are from Watcher, go thank yourself.